Alrighty. This is our 31st episode of Movies and Minutes, and I have the distinct pleasure of having my friend Nelson on. Nelson, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing pretty well. How about you?
Oh, I see a pupper.
Oh yeah, that's Ace the Bat Hound over there.
Oh, Ace
Oh
the
yeah,
Bat Hound. Hi,
yep.
Ace.
Crypto is also over there.
Oh my God, that's perfect. I love that. More people need superheroes names. I got Star Lord the cat right now, but if I get any more additions, I'm headed your way DC wise.
I'm surprised you didn't go with Dexstar.
You know, Star Lord's just more like well known. Dexter is like a deep cut. Like, how many people know about the Red Lantern cat? You
This
know it, and I
that
know it,
is
but
fair.
like other people,
Yeah, I would
I want
imagine
them
a
to
lot of
have
people
like.
would just call him Dexter.
That's kind of what happens with Star because like when I got her, I thought that she was a boy, and the person who gave me to her thought she was a boy, and the vet didn't bother to contradict us at the first visit, and then eventually when we got to like, well, hey, by the way, we have to spay your girl cat. I'm like, girl, okay, so she
It's
gets
good
mostly
info to
called
have.
Star now, but
Nice.
Star Lord's like for when she does something bad.
Oh yeah, you gotta
The
bring
full
out the
name.
full name.
hmm So Nelson, before we get going on our movies for the day to talk about, I always like to ask my guests what kind of movies they like. What kind of things like excite you, get you to the theater more than anything. That's usually the one that like I'm the most curious about. But please tell me what types of movies do you like?
Oh boy. Um, I gotta say I'm a sucker for kung fu movies. Big fan of Kung
Ooh,
Fu Hustle. Man
okay.
with the Iron Fists. I also enjoyed pretty much.
I think that's a first in our 30 episodes. I don't think anybody's like if they like them, they didn't think to say it, or they just like they're just not in it for the hustle.
Nice, nice. I mean, other than that, I'm a sucker for all the comic movies that are coming out. Honestly,
Ace the
I
Bat
will.
Hound was a clue, I think, but
Yes, yes, only slightly, only slightly. Um, I will say I unfortunately haven't kept up with DC in theaters, so I'm still behind on Blue Beetle. Haven't gotten there yet, but at some point, hopefully. Um,
what did you think
other
of
than that,
the Flash?
the graphics were really rough. The CGI was really rough. I feel like they could have done so many other things with such a
Mhm.
large story, um, but they're kind of shoehorned into everything going on with Ezra, and then you have
Yep.
James Gunn taking over and just changing things up and this and that.
Yep.
Yeah, could have been better. That's a nice, simple way to put
Uh,
it.
all I'll say as far as Blue Beetle goes is, I mean, if we're looking at like what's better graphically speaking, Blue Beetle's better. I mean, like
Oh, okay.
I don't know, Flash at the bar like kind of low in that regard, so a lot of things could be better, but at
Yeah,
least between those two, you, Blue Beetle you should make some time for, even if it hits after it like hits Max or wherever.
gotcha. Fair enough.
Ooh,
Trying to think of what else. I like a whole bunch of movies, honestly.
ooh,
It's more stuff I don't like to watch. It's more like historical type movies.
okay.
Not really my bag, but I
So
like a good chunk of stuff, a good variety.
there's a Joaquin Phoenix Napoleon movie coming up, so that wouldn't do it for you, huh?
Probably not. Probably
That's
not.
fair.
Like,
That's
if I
totally
got
fair.
nothing going on a weekend, I'd probably give it a shot. But
I
like,
mean, Joaquin Phoenix is pretty dope. Like he seems to like take whatever role he's given and just go full tilt.
oh yeah, absolutely, I
I mean,
agree.
that's why I went for the name and not the name of the movie first, because like sometimes the actor can just like sell people on stuff.
Oh yeah.
I had one my guest for last week. We talked about a movie that had Christopher Lloyd in it, and we were both like, "Oh man, Christopher Lloyd, this has got to be great." And it was like a very religious movie that you wouldn't expect to see
Ooh,
Christopher Lloyd in. And it was
yeah,
kind of just like, oh man, what are you doing, buddy? How big is this paycheck? Come on.
yeah. That's
But
unfortunate.
it is. Um, so Kung Fu, to me, now that you said that, and I mean, like, I always want people to think and believe these are organic conversations. We haven't talked about this ahead,
No.
but a lot of the movies that I gave you today, I would say are in some way, shape, or form like action movies.
Oh yeah.
And Kung Fu, I feel like is a subset of action movies. I mean, they do unique things. If you watch like Enter the Dragon or I don't know, like some of the other ones that you named, like I feel like they are unique, but overall, we're watching it because we want to watch somebody kick butt.
Yes.
And I feel like that's probably the case with a lot of the movies that we're going to talk about today. I mean, at least two out of three, I would say, are action. One of them is definitely not like hand to hand action. It's more just like just more silly life stuff. But
Yeah.
um,
I will
and I think that's our
say
first one actually. Our first one, I believe, is Dumb Money.
yes.
Dumb Money. So, what do you think that movie is about based on the trailer for that?
Um, well, I can tell you that right off the bat, it's probably going to give me a bad case of FOMO. Just missing out on the whole
All, all,
GameStop run.
all of us.
Yeah, yeah. Like I remember it happening at the time. I was just like, should I hop in on it? It's like getting a little pricey now, and then it was too late at that point. The stocks just
Yeah,
went way too high up, and I just couldn't get in on it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's I think I want to say it's a little surprising that it's making such a quick turnaround, being that it only was 4 years ago, I think,
Or
that
last.
all
It
happened.
was late 2020, early 21.
Jeez. Wow, that is really
Yeah.
quick. Um,
I
I'm
mean,
surprised by the turnaround.
a movie like that though, where it's not an action movie where you've got a lot of like things that you need to do visually other than just record people doing stuff, probably doesn't take too long to like make happen.
Yeah.
So,
I, I I think also a large part of that coming out would be just the need to strike the iron while it's hot. I think that's a
yeah,
large part of it.
if you wait too long, it won't be topical. Like that 2 years thing. We were probably just at the cusp of not thinking about it, and
Yeah.
then the movie comes out, and it's just like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Versus if you wait too long, you're gonna get like a generational shift, and people will be like, what even is this?
Yeah. When did this happen? That type of
What
deal.
are
Oh yeah.
what are stonks?
What are stonks and why are people buying them? How
What
does it
is
happen?
what's a rar kitty?
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, I mean he was in it, man. So like, I mean, speaking of DC too, so the casting for Dumb Money, there's a lot of heavy hitters in this movie. I don't know if you
Oh yeah.
noticed that from the trailer.
Yeah.
Um, they got Paul Dano to be the guy. His name I believe was Rar Kitty, was like his username, on YouTube. But he was basically the guy who like blew the GameStop stock thing wide open
Yeah.
and like got people to start buying into it. And it I I will definitely say, having watched the movie, I don't think I noticed all the aspects of how like almost culty it got with the people on like on the stock websites.
Yeah.
But
That's another part of it too. With it being so recent in memory, I'm
yeah.
curious how much Hollywood has taken their own spin on it, type of deal, to try to angle
Mhm.
it to, oh well, he's just earning this money. He's like how culty it is versus how it actually was. It's I don't know. For me, it's kind of tough to like follow that.
That's fair. I mean, it's definitely it's a very like it's very modern, like rags to riches type story, because it's just a guy who's passionate about numbers and like the goings on in the world. And as he starts to put his like faith and money into something, like it really kind of like turns around for him and then anybody who took him at his word. And it sort of starts to upset people that are upset because they're losing money, but at the same time they don't really have a reason to be upset. So did you like just like circling back a little bit, watching that trailer, like we remember that there was like a thing with GameStop stock. Did you get a sense for like what you thought the plot of the movie itself was?
Oh yeah, it feels like it's just playing through his portion of that
Hmm.
whole situation, which it makes me
Hmm.
curious if they're going to go into what happened afterwards, or like right at the tail end of it, where
Hmm.
oh Robin Hood, like the app
Hmm.
that everyone was using at that point in time, how
Hmm.
they swapped out how they did things and like they stopped people from
Yeah,
trading stock. I'm curious if they're
it
going to go that far into it or not.
it does. So I mean, usually on the show, I try not to go too crazy with spoilers myself. But with biopics, it's kind of not really a spoiler because it happened, as
Right.
long as they're not taking creative liberties like to talk about life as it was distinguished in the film, I don't really feel is a spoiler, but they do a pretty solid job of like hitting all the big beats. The Robin Hood thing does definitely play a part. We
Oh,
get a
okay.
sense for the owners of Robin Hood, what's going on with them, why they do what they do with the basically the halting of purchasing of stock at one point of GameStop. Um, I think the overall, which I mean, again, like I'll say this as somebody who I remember it existing, but I couldn't tell you at the time what was happening. The movie does a good job of like explaining to you basically that there are people in the financial market that, for all intents and purposes, can basically legally bet against the futures of companies, and they bet against GameStop. And when people started buying up the stock, it sort of it basically makes them lose their bet,
Oh yeah.
and they called it shorting.
Yeah.
So basically, these people are getting upset because they threw their money at sort of a rigged system, and then were upset when it didn't pay out the way it was supposed to, because the common man started to buy into a stock, because normal financial people, if they're getting told the stock is for a company that is, going to go bankrupt, they're not going to buy it, and then these shorters win. So
Right.
it it definitely like shed a light on how stocks work to like a more common group of people who probably didn't know.
Yeah.
And they got a lot of good big actors to act in it and get you the information in a way that you're really paying attention. You get besides Paul Dano, who else did we have? We had Vincent D'Onofrio, we had Seth Rogen, oh, the guy that plays Ron Swanson, whose name I can't remember right now.
Oh
um,
boy.
Pete Davidson,
Yep.
uh, America Ferrera.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, just a litany of like well-known people that just like really helped like nail this like story in the coffin for anybody who didn't know all the details.
Yes.
Um, I will say, of the three movies I gave you today, I actually gave this one a five.
Okay.
I thought it was really good. I thought it was really well done. Um, I think it actually did so well because I saw it in a preview showing before it was actually released. It did so well they opted to push up the release about 2 weeks. So
Oh wow. Okay.
I think that's that says something about its possible viability as a movie. Um, so I feel like this is sort of a tough one to sell on some people, but like knowing that the story to some greater or lesser extent, having lived through it, and also having FOMO, do you think that this is something that you would see?
I don't know if I would go to theaters for it. I
Mhm.
think I would more wait for it to come out digitally. Just something I
That's
can
fair.
watch on the weekend. Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
There are, I mean, it's tough in this day and age, and I mean, like this, it comes up a lot, with my different guests, and it's really easy to just like flick on the TV and see what's ready to stream.
Oh yeah.
And I by no means like begrudge people who do it. I just always look to see what films really stand out for people that like make them say, what, nope, we ain't flicking on the TV for this one. We got to hit the big
Oh
screen.
yeah. Yeah.
And agreeably, like this it was a fun watch, but I don't think anything about it was very specifically like big theater required.
That makes
It's not
sense.
an action movie that like has any, differences big screen or small screen. So
Yeah.
it's just more a question of time and the way things hit digital within like 3 weeks of being on the big screen these days. It's not much of a wait.
Yeah. It's kind of nuts, honestly. Like you don't want to do away with the theater whole system. You don't want to do
I
away with
don't.
that. But at
I
the same
don't.
time,
Mhm.
it just doesn't seem worth it for a lot of movies to go to the theater anymore to go watch them because they come out digitally so quickly.
Right.
It's
It's funny too. I mean, like they're sort of like muddling through this like weird system of, okay, we didn't see the opening weekend that we wanted, put it out on digital in 2 weeks. But then you get things like Barbie and Oppenheimer, which like Barbie just came out on digital like a week ago. Like,
yeah,
and that came out in like June,
yeah,
because they knew like, hey, we're getting all this money from theater revenue on this. Keep squeezing as much as we can. Same with like Oppenheimer.
yeah.
So
I think a lot of
And
pull for those though. It was nice
mhm,
because it was a different type of movie that was being put out.
mhm,
It wasn't a sequel. It wasn't
mhm,
like some crazy, ridiculous offshoot of a movie. I don't know how
mhm.
to explain it. It's just I feel like just the combination of those two together and whole Barbenheimer and all that. I think that was a large
I
draw for
really
people.
I really wish I could take like a poll of like everybody who went and saw them both and find out how much of it is meme and how much of it
Yeah.
was like people that
Was
just wanted to
general
go.
interest. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is crazy, and I haven't looked today. I mean, the last time I looked on Barbie though, it was like the 13th or 14th highest grossing film of all time now. It
Oh,
was like
wow.
just under Avengers Age of Ultron, and I wouldn't be shocked if it has since passed it, but
That's
um
impressive, even given the
well, right.
the political climate of it and people like getting upset over
Well, that's the
stuff
thing that
within the
like
movie.
that drives people to movies. Like when you tell them no or we don't like it, it creates like a frenzy, and people are like, "Well, you can't tell me. I'm gonna go watch it."
That is true.
Times how many other people that felt that way.
Oh yeah.
Um, Personal recommendation though, I don't know if you've seen them. If you do watch it and you feel like being a meme about it, I did it the other way because in
Okay.
my head I said I don't want to go see the happy-go-lucky one and then go see the other one that's about like, creating a weapon of mass destruction and then getting depressed after. I'd rather have it the
Oh
other
yeah.
way. So I
Yeah.
went and saw Oppenheimer, and then Barbie was like the palate cleanser.
Okay. So you
So
saw Oppen Arby? Oppen
I
Arby?
did. I
Nice.
and that is what I've told people, even though it's not as catchy as Barbenheimer. But
So what would you rate those two individually?
I'm pretty sure I gave Barbie a 4.5, and I think Oppenheimer was a 5. Barbie was really close. It's just, looking at it cinematically, there was a couple of like couple two three like plot contrivances, which like at the end of the day, like you're watching a movie, you're enjoying it. It's not a big deal, but at the
Yeah.
same time, like you set up stuff and then don't follow through. It's hard to just straight up ignore it and be like, oh yeah, you still got a five-star movie. These aren't issues, but
Yeah.
yeah. So, um, Oppenheimer was just like a cinematic masterpiece. Like the storytelling, the way it shifted between different types of like recording, um, the stuff that you really need to see on the big screen for that is just when you see it, it's like, oh my God, like in
Yeah.
IMAX, it was just beautiful. Also Josh Peck was in it.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. He's
It's a
like,
rare sight to see him nowadays.
yeah, he's like, he like is the trigger man for the explosion. It was kind of funny. Like
Interesting.
Oppenheimer's like, all right, it's time, and he turns his face and you're like, wait a minute, isn't that Josh Peck?
I know that guy.
Bam! I'm
What's he
gonna burn the
doing here?
world.
Yep. Yep.
That's kind of where I was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was dumb money. Um, what was the second movie I gave you for today?
Outlaw Johnny Black.
Outlaw Johnny Black.
Yeah.
Um, what did that trailer do for you?
I mean, I enjoy Michael Jai White. I think he, like,
I'm so
unfortunately,
glad. I'm so
kind of
glad that you know who he is.
pigeonholed. Yeah, he's kind of
Yeah,
pigeonholed into similar roles, but like,
but he pigeonholed himself because he acted and directed in this, and
yeah,
he
that's
did
true.
like Black Dynamite was his too. So
Yep,
like he
that's
knows what he
fair.
wants to be and do, and he's doing it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
It like I
Mhm.
said, I enjoy kung fu movies, and I enjoy like he throws that into his movies, so I'm down for it. I'll probably see it.
So Michael Jai White, I don't know if you recognized him in it. Did you know he was an Arrow?
Oh yeah, wasn't he?
Yeah. Bronze
Was it
Tiger.
Bronze Tiger? Yeah, I was gonna say White
Yeah.
Tiger. But that's not it. Bronze Tiger. Yeah.
Bronze Tiger, and Bronze Tiger. One of Bronze Tiger's claims to fame is he's like one of the best martial artists in
Oh
DC.
yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
Outlaw Johnny Black, to me felt like the black version of like, and I say this even though there was a fair amount of black actors in this, but it wasn't a black creator who made it. It was like Blazing Saddles. If
Okay,
you've ever seen that
I can see
by
that.
Mel Brooks,
Yeah.
it's just got so much of that like absurdist comedy mixed into like very serious situations.
Yeah.
And it's an old west movie from Michael J. White. I mean, you really what else do you need to say about it? You can't go wrong.
There's a part in the trailer where he's doing the gag where he's like holding the gun up in front of the guy's face, and the guy tries to grab it and drops it and like smacks him. I feel
Yeah,
like I've seen that before. I like it's tickling the back of my brain. I can't
yeah.
remember what movie it's in, but I feel like he just copies it like
It
perfectly.
it kind of reminded me of Don't Mess with the Zohan. I don't know if you ever saw that. It was an Adam Sandler
Yeah.
one. He's like a Jewish super spy,
Yep. Yep.
but at like one point he's like standing in front of a guy and he like kicks him like with his feet, but like
Oh yeah,
he's
yeah. I
standing straight
remember the
up, so
part.
like the feet like comes up. And
Then
he's
both
like,
feet hit him.
"Did you just hit me with your feet?" Yeah, yeah, just like that.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Um,
No, but overall, I'm definitely gonna watch it.
did you? Yeah, did you glean like any specific plot from that trailer? And there's a story. I don't know how important it is, but there's a plot.
I mean, it kind of seemed like he was kind of like a bounty hunter type deal based on the trailer, and like he's going undercover as a reverend, or maybe he like is changing his life to become a reverend. I wasn't really sure. I didn't really glean much from the trailer itself.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, like those are things that happen in the movie. He's not a bounty hunter. He's an outlaw, as
Oh, yeah,
like titular character and all. And as an outlaw, you sometimes find yourself in situations where people are looking for you. So, what's a good disguise if not a pious religious person where the law is not going to be looking for you theoretically. Um, and there's just some really funny stuff that happens. Like we get to see kind of the journey of the because he doesn't just throw on clergy clothes. He steals them from a clergyman and then leaves the guy to basically die in the desert.
of course.
And the reverend also sort of has a journey to get back to civilization. And that's it's just so funny and like out there. And just we just need more comedies like this. I mean,
Yeah,
but there's also a fair amount of action and gunplay and fighting. And um I think overall it's a really good movie. It's
yeah,
I think this one I gave a 4 out of 5 to, just because like they're obviously like it's a good time, a good fun watch, but it's not cinematically. It's there's some issues. It's kind of a little all over the place plot wise. And there's um obviously you gotta take some leaps of faith and understand that you're watching like a silly like spaghetti western
oh yeah,
ultimately.
yeah, for
So
sure.
it's the type of thing that like people will talk about and enjoy, but you probably won't see Michael J. White's name showing up at the Oscars, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah, I can agree to that.
Yeah. So
It's
this
I
one
feel
does.
like it's tough nowadays to get comedies up off the ground in theaters though. Like I'm not sure what
It
it is,
really
but
is.
it's
I mean, like
it's not
it's
like the
got to be something
90s.
like, oh no, true. I would say Barbie had a fair amount of comedy to it, but I think again that's the interest around that is almost more of a cultural phenomenon and
Yeah,
not so much about whatever specific genre of film people want to classify it as.
for sure.
Um, so that's one you would see too. The last one, the last movie of the night,
Yes.
is 100% action. Unequivocally. Um, I will ask you before we talk about it. Have you ever seen any of the Expendable movies?
I think I'm pretty sure I saw the first one, like back when it came out, but I
Yeah.
have not kept up with them.
All right, fair enough. So, but you're a little bit more informed than say if I'd asked you and you were like, no, I've never seen an Expendables movie.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
all right. So, Expendables 4 is what the last one to come out for this past weekend. Um, I'm sure you could form an idea about this regardless of having watched the trailer or not if I just asked you what you think an Expendables movie is about. But
Right.
what did you think this one was about?
I mean, based on the trailer, it seems like Jason Statham's relationship is putting him at odds with his girlfriend, wife, whatever she may be to him.
Mhm.
Uh, and they're playing opposite sides of some sort of situation. And I feel like it's something that might be revealed later on. This is me just completely guessing. Revealed later on after Stallone gets Statham back in the saddle. and they go off and do their thing, and he finds out, oh hey, uh, your so and so, your significant other is doing this stuff. We gotta take him on, type of deal. That's what it seems like based on the trailer. I'm not sure if that's true in the slightest, but
That's fair.
yeah,
Um, so as a whole, as a franchise, I would say the Expendable movies are generally about like throwing as many action stars as you can into a movie, and
makes sense.
see how many things they can break, before the movie ends.
Oh yeah,
And so they did three of them. It was like 2010, 2012, 2014 for the first three.
oh wow,
And yeah, and they've added progressively more action stars to them. In fact, um, I'm gonna go on record as saying, because I actually only watched one, two, and three for the first time before I watched number four, this past week.
makes sense.
Um, I think the third one was the best. I think there's a lot of people on the internet that would disagree with me because apparently the third one was PG-13. I didn't really notice. Um, the first two were R, I guess, and that one was PG-13 to try to appeal to a wider audience. It also had
Gotcha.
like the most action stars of any of them, though. Number three had like Mel Gibson. It had Wesley Snipes. It had like
Oh yeah,
Chuck
I remember the
Norris. Like,
trailers for it.
it
I
just had
remember
all of them.
clips.
Bruce Willis, Schwarzenegger, you name them, they were in it.
Oh yeah,
And yeah, I don't know why. Like that one to me just seemed like the best. It ended on a good note. So we've had 9 years with no Expendables movies, and then suddenly somebody somewhere was like, "Yeah, we haven't done one of these in a while. Let's pop one out." Um,
and then somehow Expendables
so,
returned.
somehow the Expendables returned. With the only returning cast members being Stallone, who, again, I don't really know if this is a spoiler because he's kind of put it out to the world, but he's done with the Expendables, so he filmed like 20 minutes out of the 2 hours in this movie, to kind of like get Statham back in, kind of like what you said, and then kind of save
Yeah,
his ass at some point. Because they kind of want to hand the reins over to Statham if they do more. I really
that
hope
makes
they
sense.
don't. I really hope they don't.
I take it
Um,
four was not great in comparison.
so we got Statham back, we got Stallone back, and we got Dolph Lundgren back.
Okay,
Everybody else was new. 50 Cent,
wasn't
the
wasn't
rapper.
Couture, wasn't he in the other ones though?
Couture.
Randy? Yeah, I
Maybe
thought
we
he
got
was. I could
Couture.
like the first one maybe.
Yeah, he
It's been a
definitely
bit.
if he was in, or he definitely was not prominently featured. It might have been like a few scenes kind of deal.
Gotcha. Okay.
Um, because they had a bunch of newbies. We had Megan Fox. We had 50 number three too. Played like the funniest character he's ever played because he was an assassin that nobody wanted to hire, and whenever people like when he actually got the Expendables to get him to like let him join, he wouldn't shut the fuck up. Like he would just
Nice.
talk, talk, and talk. So maybe Banderas is too old now, so they hired a younger Spanish guy to play his character's son, who did the same thing and just talk and talk and talk. Oh
Yeah.
well, we will take care of all these things. We'll do this, we'll do that, and everybody's just like, dude, shut the fuck up.
Nice.
But 50 Cent, Megan Fox, a slew of other no names, and it's just kind of like if the heart of being an expendable is you have to have been in a bunch of action movies. I don't know how many action movies 50 Cent has been in. I don't know if I count Transformers movies for Megan Fox if those are truly action movies. I would almost count those as comic book movies because the Transformers are comic book characters.
I'd say that's fair.
Yeah, it just there was a lot not good about that one.
Yeah.
The funny part though is I don't think I have to worry too much about talking you out of not seeing it because if you haven't kept up with the other two, I don't have to worry about you going to catch this one.
Yeah. And
Um,
that is the only one I've actually heard reviews on so far since
really,
it's so new. Yeah, just like in passing online. I heard it's not great and there was no need for it.
no, the CGI and the green screen is bad, like
Oh
real,
yeah, that
real,
too.
real noticeable. Um,
Better or worse than The Flash? Or same?
oh boy,
That's not a good
uh,
answer.
probably worse, only because at least the Flash stuff you could almost almost sort of justify with certain things, like with the dead people and the things where you had to do CGI,
Yeah,
like versus like watching these guys like landing a plane that very clearly looks like they cut away to like flight simulator, and then when they're getting off the plane, like oh okay, there was a plane on this tarmac that like we just had parked for this scene to like get out.
gotcha.
But it just, oh man, wow, yeah, I didn't think I was gonna be telling anybody that CGI in a movie was worse than The Flash. But
That is impressive.
I guess there's always more down to go.
Yeah, yeah, always. I gotta say that boggles me a little bit. Still, it's just going back to the Flash.
Yeah,
Just like why use CGI to get all those into the movie instead of just using your actors that you already have that are still around. You know
the
what I
other thing that
mean?
somebody said to me was too like it's not like Endgame where you CGI'd all these like portals open and got like people
Yeah,
onto the battlefield to fight. It was all these people looking on from the edges of reality, going like, "Hey, what's going on over there?"
yeah,
and
and that's
just
it.
doing nothing.
Like you're telling me you couldn't have paid a couple bucks to actors who are still around and very popular at this point in time.
Shoot, if you really wanted to use the CGI that bad, since like Flash and Dark Flash were CGI, why not just throw Superman and Supergirl and Adam West and all them into
Yeah,
the mix? And
why not?
They weren't real anyway.
Yeah, that is true.
At least give us like a worthwhile battle for your fakeness.
I almost would have been okay if they like I love Michael Keaton as Batman, but I would have been okay if he was a Thomas Wayne Batman and they did Flashpoint from the comics. I
I
would have been okay with that.
really, I really thought that that's where they were going. So that was probably one of the few like pleasant surprises in the movie because they found a way to justify him still being Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Um, while also giving the Marvel Cinematic Universe a middle finger, like, oh, what you think going back in time creates like a divergent timeline? No,
Yeah.
you idiot. This is how it works.
This is different. This isn't the same. This is how we
Mhm.
do it. Just accept it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I gotta now. Now we're just gonna have random changes to the new DC continuity, and they're gonna say, oh, well, it's because Flash went backwards, and changing time goes both ways, and blah blah blah.
Yeah. Who knows?
So
Maybe we'll see George Clooney as Batman again. Who knows?
I don't know.
Bring back the bat nipples.
Bring back the back credit card. Never leave the cave without it.
Oh yeah. Unlimited. Oh
Who's
boy.
paying this bill? We're seeing a routing number from Bruce Wayne. Yeah, he's my
How did he get this
benefactor.
card?
Oh my God. So before I let you go, I do have to ask, what, if anything, are you looking forward to coming up? I know you said you haven't seen Blue Beetle, but that's already out. Is there
Yeah.
anything that you're like not out yet that you're looking forward to?
Um, I unfortunately don't keep a close eye on the new stuff that's coming up, like across the board.
Mhm.
Obviously,
Mhm.
Aquaman 2 is coming out pretty soon. Just saw
Mhm.
the new trailer for that, so that looks interesting. I'm hoping it'll hit the same spark or similar spark as the first one. But we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll
I
see how
mean,
that
the only
goes.
problem with that is it kind of just doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah, that's also where I'm hung up. It's just like everyone knows this universe is gone. So
Mhm.
why are we still doing this type of deal?
Are,
It's
are you guys gonna have a flashpoint moment at the end of Aquaman or something that like somehow affects the future? Like, what is
yeah.
the need for this movie?
I'm trying to remember. Didn't James Gunn say was it Blue Beetle was the first movie within his universe, or is it Aquaman, or is it after all that?
I think Blue Beetle counts. I don't think Aquaman does because technically Aquaman got bumped release date wise, so it would have come out before Blue Beetle if it had held its
Oh,
original date.
that makes sense.
Um, but at the same time, I think it also depends on like money because like they can just as easily be like, this didn't do well, so don't expect to see him in the future,
Yeah,
like for Blue
yeah,
Beetle.
that tracks.
Um, I don't think that one was a bad movie. I just think that like the decision making that went behind, hey, we're gonna choose between Blue Beetle and Batgirl, and somehow Michael Keaton being in like the mentor role in Batgirl wasn't gonna sell people, but you think it would in Flash.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
It's just weird decision making to me. Um, but all right, so Aquaman, like regardless of its continuity, that one's probably going to be a go see one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try to. With the way things are nowadays, costs of everything have gone up. So we'll see how things go. That
Of
type of
course,
deal.
of course. I mean, like, and the thing I kind of always like try to put in perspective for viewers too. Like, I don't ever expect anybody to be as crazy as me with how many things I see, but like the movies are supposed to be like a treat. Like you go
Yeah.
once in a while, like the same way you would spend the money to go, I don't know, bowling or
Oh yeah.
to a winery or something. It's an activity that you plan for, and that sort of thing. It's like dinner out kind of deal.
It makes sense.
Unless
Yeah.
of course you have dinner out every night, then maybe not.
No.
Yeah. Not you, but like people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What I mean, you're hooked into all this. What is coming up? Like, what do you suggest for what's coming up?
What do I suggest? Well, you're at the tip of spooky season, so
Yes,
I mean, if you've got any kind of horror
I love
movie
horror
interested,
movies.
you do.
I do. I do indeed.
See, now we're speaking the same language. You've got the Exorcist Believer
Oh
coming out
yeah,
soon.
that's true. I just saw the trailer for that
That's
too.
yeah, that's gonna be like Halloween 2018, where it's like a direct sequel to one, and you don't have to have seen anything other than the original Exorcist. So
Okay.
that's cool.
Interesting.
You got Saw 10 this week because we haven't had nine other Saws. And the best part, even though it's Saw 10, it takes place between Saw 1 and Saw 2. So again,
Yes.
you
Perfect.
only need to have seen Saw 1 to have to watch Saw 10.
Well, I'm okay with
Yeah,
that. I'm all right with
yeah.
that because I think those are the only two I remember. I'm pretty sure.
Those are probably the only two good ones, and then they kind of go downhill from there. Trying to think if there's any there. There's a cool sci-fi one coming out this week, also too. The Creator. It almost kind of reminds me of, if it was like a reskinned Terminator movie almost, like, because it talks about granting control to an AI satellite, and the AI satellite decides to nuke like Los Angeles,
Yeah.
and then we're like 10 years out from that in a world where robots and humans unevenly coexist, and the humans want to take back the world from the AI, and they want to like steal the AI's weapon that they're building to stop them from taking full control.
Interesting.
Um, so, and I mean, the production values on that look really good. Um,
I think I'm pretty sure I saw or not commercial. Pretty sure I saw the trailer for that
yeah, I
semi
think
recently.
I think they said it was from the same people that did Rogue One, which
Oh, okay.
that might be a seller for some people.
Yeah.
What else? For you streaming people, I know that that new there's that movie that was supposed to be a Star Wars movie coming to
Oh,
Netflix,
I was
Rebel
actually
Moon.
just about to ask about that. That's Zack Snyder's
Mhm.
Star Wars movie,
Yeah,
isn't it?
basically, like he had to reskin everything because they didn't want it, and then it'll
Yep.
do really well, and then Disney will have FOMO about it. So
We'll see. It's
yeah,
going to be hard seeing lightsabers, but them not being lightsabers. Like,
right, right. I
it's
really want to know what the justification for that is, but we'll get there
yeah.
when we get there.
These are energy
Um,
sabers,
Something they'll come up with a word to just skirt the side of like copyright legal.
bright sticks.
Um,
Just a bunch of bright sticks.
there's a slasher movie coming out near Thanksgiving called Thanksgiving, where the
Perfect.
killer's Thanksgiving themed.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
Black Christmas was an interesting one. So, I mean, I'll
Hmm.
give it a shot.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't know about any like super big ones like that I can think of off the top of my head. We're still in the middle of the SAG after strike
Oh, yeah,
and the
that's true.
WGA strikes, so a fair amount of things got bumped to
Yeah.
next year. No Dune this year. I don't know. Yeah, I know it's kind of a light. Oh, the Marvels. The
Oh,
Marvels is
yeah,
coming.
that
Yeah,
is true. Is that December or November?
November 10th.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I
so
mean, yeah,
you got
that'll
some
be up there.
you got some homework. You got some things that you could watch.
That is true.
Yeah. Purportedly supposed to be the shortest MCU movie to date,
Oof. What kind of
just
runtime are we looking at?
like an hour 45.
Oh, that's not terrible. For some reason, I
No.
was expecting like a 70-minute movie. I was like, that's a TV show.
Yeah, that's a Netflix or that's a Disney Plus like special,
Yep,
like Werewolf by Night.
which was fantastic, by the way. Thoroughly
Yeah,
enjoyed
they're
it.
copping out this year though. Instead of giving us a new Halloween special, they're re-releasing Werewolf by Night in color.
Lame. Not a
Lame,
fan.
totally. Yeah, I mean, I would have taken Werewolf by Night too. Like you guys had a whole year, you could have made it
Or like give a teaser for Blade. Just
or something,
something.
anything.
Yeah, yeah.
But
That would
all
have been
right,
nice.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you got some homework. I got
Yes, I do.
I got some reactions out of you.
Yes, sir. Of
It's been fun. It's been fun catching up.
course.
Yeah. You got any home visits coming up in the near future or just
Um, we'll see. We're still working on
yeah.
some other stuff we got going on out here currently. So
Ooh, I
yeah,
like
we'll see. Hopefully.
to be determined.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Well, Nelson, it's been great having you on.
of course.
Been another episode of Movies in Minutes, guys. We will catch you on the next one.
Adios.